You smell that? What is that? What is that?
I don't know.
It smells like
What
a
is
Monday.
that?
That's what it smells like.
Ooh,
Happy Monday, everybody. Yes,
I
there's
don't
such
like
a,
that smell.
Yeah, it's a good smell. If you like what you do, Mondays aren't much of a problem. It is Monday, the 10th day of September, 2018. Wake Up Wenatchee Valley is on the air on the day before, the day before, the day before, the day before, the day before the weekend. Dan Kuntz, Steve Haircat in control. Whew.
Boy, confusing.
Should not have had that second cup of coffee.
I guess
morning,
not.
I think. Busy show for you today. Not quite a 5-star. We never promise you a 5-star show on Mondays because we're not that good. We're going to give you a 3.5-star show for you today. Going to wrap up the weekend that was in sports. You have the news, of course. We're getting closer and closer to autumn. We had sort of an autumnal weekend, although not, weather-wise, it was fairly pleasant.
There's a touch of fall in the air right now, though. A little chill this morning as I was walking out of the car. Yeah.
We played golf out at Moses Point yesterday, and I noticed there's not a lot of trees at Moses Point, but whatever trees that were there that bear leaves were starting to turn already. I noticed that.
Interesting. Wow, that's early.
Yeah, it is early. So, but, it's still a great month. September's a great month.
It's that salmon spawning season, isn't it?
That's right.
Because we have the festival coming up soon up in Leavenworth.
A lot of things going on. Hey, the Chelan County Fair was a big success. I understand attendance was up this year. We'd like that. We'd like that indeed.
That means more money for the kids at the livestock auction as well. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite, always has been. Part of the fair is the livestock auction. Colorful, people spending a lot of money. Yeah, I like that.
I can't buy those things. I just can't do it. They're so cute. I can't buy the lamb. Anyway.
Well, in a previous life, I worked for a mine in California.
Oh, that's
so
right.
I was the market beef buyer.
Oh, okay.
So they'd ply me with drinks, of course.
That's all part of auctions.
The bidding was very lively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually go behind people and I grab their paddle and hold it up real quick and hand it back to them. They don't let me do that anymore. Forecast details are coming up, as I mentioned before. Sports, tough weekend for the Mariners, tough Sunday for the Seahawks. We'll talk about that. Wild's playing pretty good, though. We got the obscure holiday of the day today, a very important one. You don't want to miss that. We also have birthdays today in history. Everyone is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion. And last week on Thursday, I believe Senator Brad Hawkins dropped by our studios to chit-chat with you. And we had that conversation with Steve Hare and Senator Hawkins coming up in the back half of the hour.
Listening session starts this week, and so we'll be talking about that.
A lot going on this week. Busy week. It's for everybody around here. Let's take you around North Central Washington with our Valley View cameras. I don't know if you want to start with that time-lapse, Cat. We're going to do that a little bit later on. Yep, good. I like that. That is not the cross camera, Steve. That's the cross camera east.
Oh, okay.
Is what we call that. That's about 500-600 yards to the east of the normal cross camera, which is off today. It's taking the day off. We send somebody up there to put a bunch of quarters into it. Hopefully that'll be up and running again soon. So that's not quite the view that you're used to, but it's pretty darn close. And I noticed driving out to Moses Lake that the river seems high for this time of the year. Even though Rock Island didn't have any spill gates going, they had like half a spill gate open, so they were cranking out some electricity at Rock Island Dam. It seemed a little on the high side for middle of September.
It does look a little high this morning, doesn't it? But it's sure reflecting pool this morning, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks lake-like, doesn't it? Camera 2, according to Kat, is a visit to someplace. What is?
Upper Valley.
That's the Upper Valley. When I can't see, there we go. Now we're zooming out. So that has to be Cougar Ridge, I'm assuming. It could be disconcerting if you just see mountains, you don't really know where you're at. Cougar Ridge, so the Otabashian Bridge is in the lower center of your screen, the Sunny Slope area, Omi Garden area.
Getting some weather here over the mountains.
It looks like it, doesn't it? We don't have any rain in the forecast. Thank goodness for the rain shadow and the Cascade Crest, because the Puget Sound area is going to get quite a bit of rain, and they could use it. Not so much here. Maybe a drop or two, but we're looking at fairly sunny skies for this Monday. Camera number, what number are we on? 3? That's the number 1 Canyon camera. So here's the time lapse that Kat took. Check this out, folks. You're going to like this.
From earlier this morning?
Yeah. Watch this.
Yeah.
Watch it. This is about an hour's worth of footage crammed into about 45 seconds. Isn't that incredible?
That is something.
That's just gorgeous. We do have some incredible sunsets here. Sunrises here, sunrises. Sunsets aren't so good. Sunsets is like turning off a light bulb, but our sunrises are really phenomenal.
It helps to have an artist for an engineer, too.
It does. It does. Yeah, Kat's into that kind of stuff. It's also nice to have somebody who's more talented than you are pushing the buttons.
Absolutely, yeah.
Amen
We'd
to
be in
that.
big trouble if I was doing that.
So we did the cross, we did Cougar Ridge, we did number 1. I suppose this is camera 4 we're going to close in on.
Look at
and
that.
we're going to say hello
That's
to them.
dramatic.
That's got to be the Waterville camera pointing down. Is that correct, Kat? Yep, a little windy up there. That's on the right at the top of Pine Canyon, Steve. You crest the top and you can see the lovely hamlet of Waterville. Our camera is located in that general vicinity. Sometimes we point it towards
Gazing down
Waterville.
on the Entiat. Yeah.
Yep, sometimes we point it down. Oh, we're going to move it. Here we go. Steve,
Slow
you have your
pan,
seatbelt buckled
yes.
in? Put your buckle your seatbelt and raise your tray, Steve. So that's a nice pan from the very top of the Waterville Plateau. That's up there a ways, as Steve just mentioned. You can see Entiat, downtown Entiat is there, the Entiat Dome.
I was reading the InstaWeb report on the Cougar fire this morning. It's, by the way, 78% contained, and they were anticipating a chance of some sprinkles up there later today.
Good, good. We do have a chance of rain, by the way, later on in the week here for the Wenatchee Valley. Didn't really get any rain. We had a trace of rain Friday night into Saturday, not enough at Pangborn to register anything on the scale, but I understand other places around north central Washington got some rain on Friday night.
But again, we're not out of the fire season, folks, as evidenced by our weekend. We'll have more details on that, but we did get significant lightning throughout central Washington, and certainly we got some new fire starts and possible some holdovers from the lightning storm on Friday. So remain vigilant because we're not out of the fire season yet.
Yeah, they can get sleepers. They can, you know, have a little smolder in there, and then you get a little wind, and you
That's
go,
what we
here
saw.
we go, take it
That's
right
what
off.
we saw over the weekend, yeah.
As long as there's fuels to burn, we're really not out of the fire season yet until the snow and the rain comes your way. From the National Weather Service, that way if you don't like the weather, you can blame the government. That's what we're looking at today. There's a cold front passing through today. It's going to make things a little on the breezy side. A possibility of a scattered shower, but that's going to be over the Cascade Crest because the rain shadow is going to keep us pretty dry today, Steve. The cold front's going to come in. It's going to whack into the Cascades and drop a little bit of rain there, but not so much here. Mostly sunny, light west winds, 6 to 16 miles an hour, high today of 75. A little below normal. We were 78 yesterday, which is pretty much right at normal. A little windy tonight, partly cloudy skies. Overnight low of about 54. Tuesday, we start talking about some rain here in the valley, especially in the afternoon. We got about a 20% chance, as you can see there. High of 72, so we're going to cool down a little bit Tuesday. Tuesday night, mostly cloudy, 51. But we associate clouds, we associate rain, about a 20% chance of rain Tuesday night. Wednesday, very active. We've got a chance of showers, maybe some thunderstorms, all of this late in the afternoon on Thursday, but not a lot of wind. Ironically enough, and a high of 72 Wednesday. Thursday, sunshine 72. Good looking weekend. Friday, 73, 76, 78. Summer slipping away from us. So a little bit of rain possible Tuesday into Wednesday. And that is your forecast at 8 minutes after the hour. What happened over the weekend in the world of news? This is why we pay this guy an incredible amount of money. I'm talking about Steve Hare, of course. We'll have your headlines in 1 minute, so grab your cup of coffee and come back and join us. The news brought to you by Cascade Medical. Cascade Medical, trained with physical therapists who loves the outdoors as much as you do. Cascade Medical, partners in your health.
The physical therapists at Cascade Medical love the outdoors as much as you do. But sometimes where there's love, there's also pain. Let us help you get back to the activities that you love. Cascade Medical, partners in your health.
NCW Life Channel is proud to present the Spotlight on Business. We're going behind the scenes to bring you the story of local businesses throughout North Central Washington. How did they get started, and why are they so successful? We'll answer these and other questions each week with Spotlight on Business, Sundays through Fridays on the NCW Life Channel.
And now it's time for your local news update with Steve Hare.
Good morning and welcome back to the program for this Monday, September 10th. And here are some of the stories we're following around north central Washington. A new round of lightning-caused wildfires kept firefighters pretty busy in several areas of central Washington over the weekend. Thunderstorm passed through Kittitas County Friday evening, started 2 fires on U.S. Forest Service lands near Blewett Pass. Now, the Iron East and Iron West fires continue to burn this morning on a remote section of the Cleellum Ranger District on the Okanagan and Wenatchee National Forest. Here you can see a shot provided to us by the Kittitas County Sheriff's Office. Now, the sheriff continues to work closely with a mobilized Type 3 incident management team that's been set up at the Kittitas Valley Event Center. Both fires located about 12 miles northeast of Cle Elum. A level 2 evacuation is in effect for about 12 homes in the vicinity of the Iron East fire. Engines are actively patrolling those areas as well. Also, a large brush fire contained in the Wahluke Slope area of Grant County Friday night. The Wahluke Slope fire started by lightning near State Route 24, milepost 59. The fire burned over 11,000 acres of mostly brush and grassland. The fire prompted a level 1 evacuation advisory for a few scattered homes, but that was canceled by Sunday afternoon. Unified command between Grant County Fire Districts, Adams County Fire District 5, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service managed that fire. Units from across Grant County were on the scene of that blaze. Indeed, the fire was in an area very difficult to access by land. Firefighting aircraft were being utilized to help crews on the ground. Here's a shot of one of those large air tankers dropping its retardant there on the fire. That was Saturday. A U.S. Navy helicopter was used Sunday to pluck 3 stranded climbers from Mount Stewart in the Chelan County backcountry. Chelan County Sheriff's officials said the group got stuck after rappelling down to an area from which they couldn't proceed. Sergeant Kent Sisson reported the group started out from Ingalls Creek area below Mount Stewart around 6 a.m. Saturday. Their climb stopped short of the summit and they started to rappel back down the northwest side of the mountain when they became stuck at about 8,800 foot elevation. They called for help around 11 at night and began that hike at about 6 a.m. from Longs Pass, Ingalls Creek area at the base of Mount Stewart, and they called for help at about 11 p.m. Helicopter from U.S. Naval Base Whidbey Island was called in to hoist those climbers out. Luckily, there were no injuries. Also, following up on a story first aired on NCW Life on Friday, the Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife has confirmed now that 3 calves found injured on Ferry County rangeland last week were indeed attacked by wolves, likely members of the so-called Profanity Peak of state-protected gray wolves. Now, the determination was made Friday after a veterinarian examined the 2 calves in the presence of a WDFW officer, and State Representative Joel Kretz had reported the attacks in a Facebook post last week. Now, the injured calves were found last Tuesday by 2 range riders in the higher elevations of the Keller Range. Kretz claims that after first confirming the incident as a wolf attack, the agency changed it to a, quote, probable attack because of what they called a lack of hemorrhaging. Well, the confirmation of the attack followed an examination of the 2 calves and a 3rd calf. Here are some pictures that were provided to us by Representative Kretz. He's a staunch critic of the state's gray wolf reintroduction program. He's been leading the effort to delist the animals as a state-protected species. There are currently 10 confirmed wolf packs in Washington state, with the majority of them located in the northeast part of the state. A high-speed pursuit ended Saturday night in Rock Island with the arrest of a Quincy man who was wanted on outstanding warrants out of Grant County. Douglas County Sheriff Kevin Morris reports in a news release that the man and his female companion were chased down by deputies after the 2 suspects fled the scene of a routine traffic stop on State Route 28 around milepost 5. Now, the driver was identified as 43-year-old Santiago Vasquez. He had cocaine and methamphetamine in his pocket when he was arrested. Deputies also found a .38 Special Colt revolver near the location that Santiago was arrested. Santiago also had an outstanding warrant out of Grant County for attempting to elude a pursuing police vehicle and a warrant out of the Department of Corrections for escape community custody. Now, the female was identified as 23-year-old Ashley Baker, a female from Ephrata. She was arrested on 3 outstanding warrants for out of Grant County for driving while license suspended in the 3rd degree and theft in the 3rd degree. Both are now in custody. Well, the Wooden Avenue Bridge in Chelan will be closed to cars starting today as crews begin work on the one-way reconfiguration there. Pedestrian access will remain open during that time. The closure is necessary as the crew starts removing the asphalt from the surface of the bridge. The week's work will also include mobilizing more equipment and materials, surveying, installing water main pipe, supports under the bridge, and removing the existing lamp posts. According to the city, similar work will continue September 17th through the 21st. Construction began on the 4th when crews began mobilizing equipment, installing pipe hangers under the bridge. In addition to the bridge closure now, Chelan permanently closed 3rd Street from Okanagan to Wooden Avenue. Drivers are only able to approach the bridge from the west side, heading in toward downtown. City is setting up temporary directional devices until that permanent configuration is completed. Also, it might be slime to you, but a little 9-year-old girl has used a sticky, gooey substance to raise over $20,000 for the Moses Lake Police Department's K-9 program. Kenna Morrison, who does business as Slime by Kenna, decided a few weeks ago that she was going to donate the sales of slime from the farmer's market to charity. Since she loves dogs, her mom's a veterinarian, by the way, and she likes cops. 2 Moses Lake police officers live on her street, as a matter of fact. She decided on the Moses Lake Police Department K-9 program. Sales raised $1,000. She also went around to over 60 local businesses asking them to match her donation. It was an overwhelming success. In fact, last week, Kenna swung by the police department with a donation of $20,275 toward the purchase of a second K-9 officer. So congratulations to that little girl and the sheriff's office for
That's cool.
getting their new K-9 officer on.
That's a neat story.
That's kind of cute, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, $20,000 from the sale of slime.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy,
It's a lot of slime.
that's a lot of slime.
I had Deputy Shepard on my show. You remember?
Yes, Aaron.
Yeah. When he came in with his.
He's my neighbor.
Yeah, he came in with his dog. You remember? We had him on the show with the. We learned all about how they go through that whole K-9 training process and why it's so expensive to do it.
Well, he's out there walking his dog
Yeah.
every day. I see him out there in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Of course, if you don't know, Steve lives in a pretty hoity-toity neighborhood. It's pretty
No,
gated
really.
community within a gated community. I'm kidding. Usually, you and Lynette are out at your summer place in Monument Hill, aren't you? Most of the time.
I call it Copland.
Yeah. Don't watch that movie with Sylvester Stallone. It's not very good. It's 18 minutes after the hour. The news with Grant Olson comes your way at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. 3 chances to watch the news with Grant Olson, Monday through Friday. Grant in the anchor chair. Eric handles sports. Grant also handles the forecast. There's Steve saluting the flag. And if you want to be a part of our news team, if there's something out there that you think deserves attention from our award-winning news department, you can do so. We have made all the tools available to you to do exactly that, Steve.
That's right. You can contact us by email at our address, news@ncwlife.com. Contact us on our website on the top of the page, that little tab that says Contact Us. Just click it and provide us with information on the program or event you want us to cover, or maybe a news item you'd like us to follow up on. Facebook and Twitter, always preferred social media sites for us. And of course, if you see news happening out there, our breaking news hotline is 888-6295.
19 minutes after the hour on this Monday, 60 degrees, partly cloudy skies, sunshine for the most part today, a little breezy and a high of 75. We're going to take a break. When we come back, sports, the obscure holiday today in history, birthdays. Everyone is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion, and Steve's conversation with Senator Brad Hawkins. A busy Monday here on the NCW Live channel. We're live from Studio 44. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCW Life channel.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCW Life Sports.
I'm NCW Life News Director Steve Hare.
Catch us on Local Tel Channel 12.
You can watch us on Charter Channel 19 or stream us live on ncwlife.com.
Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
Where we cover the local high schools, the Wenatchee Wild, and the pro teams out of Seattle.
On Saturday, we have a 90% chance of rain.
Catch it all right here on the NCW Life channel.
I have a doctor who knows what they're talking about.
It's just so much more hands-on and friendly than anywhere else I've ever been. It's really great to walk into somewhere where you feel welcomed and you feel accepted.
We've just been grateful for the care and respect that we've been given there.
And here when I come to visit my doctor, I'm not afraid to ask questions.
It's not just about getting you in and out.
I love my care at CVCH. It's awesome. Give it a try.
And welcome back to this Monday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. This news sports. Von Miller sacked Russell Wilson 3 times. He forced a couple of fumbles, recovered one of those. He was the defensive star, and of course he plays for the Broncos. Yeah, the Broncos beat the Seahawks 27-24 yesterday down in Denver. Russell Wilson, not a very good day. He threw for 298 yards and 3 TDs, but he was picked off twice, sacked 6 times, ran for just 5 yards. After Demaryius Thomas atoned for several early hiccups by scoring the go-ahead touchdown with 11 minutes left in the game, the Seahawks gained just 3 yards in their final 3 possessions, the last one ending with an Adam Jones interception at midfield at the end of the game. Coach Pete Carroll said it was not a very clean game. He said the biggest problem, third down conversions. The Seahawks were only 2 for 12 on third down conversions, and they only ran the ball for 64 yards. Wilson put the Seahawks ahead 24-20 when he found Tyler Lockett all alone for a 51-yard touchdown catch. That was early in the fourth quarter. Shaquille Griffin's twin brother, by the way, Shaquem Griffin, started the game because K.J. Wright still had that minor knee surgery, so that's a neat story there. But again, the Seahawks came up on the short end, and by the way, there was an injury. Wide receiver Doug Baldwin has a right MCL sprain. Seahawks start out 0-1 on the year. They visit the Los Angeles Chargers. Still can't get used to that on Sunday. Well, the Mariners, Mitch Haniger dashed home the score to go-ahead run on a ground ball in the 8th inning, and then he made a diving catch for the final out, and the Mariners knocked off the Yankees 3-2 Sunday at Safeco Field. Haniger started the 8th with a walk, and then he stole second. He reached in with his right hand right at the last second. Then he reached third on Gene Segura's sacrifice bunt. And then with the infield all the way in, Robinson Cano hit a broken bat roller up the middle. That scored. Haniger is just ahead of the tag, and that was the difference. Edwin Diaz pitched the 9th for his 54th save and 27th one-run save. Both of those are the best in baseball. Haniger, an all-star for the first time this year, has 24 homers and 85 RBIs this season. He's been one of the better stories for the Mariners. So the loss keeps the Yankees from sweeping the 3-game series, leaves New York 2.5 ahead of Oakland for the league's top wildcard spot. The Mariners are now 79-64. They are now 7.5 games behind Oakland for that second and final wildcard spot. After a day off Monday, Seattle ends their homestand with a 2-game series against the Padres. Marco Gonzalez is going to come off the DL and toe the rubber for the M's tomorrow. Sports this week. Here's our schedule. We got 3 big events coming up. On Tuesday, tomorrow, we'll be at Lee Bofta Field at the Apple Bowl. The Wenatchee High School Lady Panther girls soccer team will take on Sunnyside, 7 o'clock there. On Thursday, we'll be at Wildcat Stadium in East Wenatchee as the Eastmont Wildcats host the Eisenhower Cadets in girls soccer. And then football on Friday, the Ellensburg Bulldogs come up to take on the Eastmont Wildcats at Wildcat Stadium in East Wenatchee. We'll have that game at 7 o'clock, and we will have the Eastmont High School Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremonies at halftime. Well, Cashmere High School had no problems with Sultan on Friday night. They won the game fairly impressively, but they had a little snafu just right before they were to start the second half. There was a lightning strike in the general area of Cashmere, and the rules are at least a 45-minute delay. So the teams, both Sultan and Cashmere, had to go back into the locker rooms and wait for nearly an hour before they could continue the game in the second half. So Cashmere, the Bulldog football team with nothing better to do, decided to sing a little John Denver. At least John Denver's estate isn't going to sue anybody. One more quick note in sports. The Wenatchee Wild swept their weekend series up in Canada. They're 2-0 now on the year. They beat Surrey Saturday night. The final was 6-3. They're on the road again, taking on Merritt and West Kelowna this upcoming weekend. And that's sports at 24 minutes after the hour. It's time for the obscure holiday of the day today. Usually it's something frivolous and fun and goofy. Not today. Today is World Suicide Prevention Day. The numbers are hard to crunch. There's all kinds of different organizations. The World Health Organization keeps track of these things. The International Association of Suicide Prevention keeps track of these things. But basically, they believe about 3,000 people a day take their own lives. That comes out to about 1 million people every year. That's a million too many. So we observe September 10th year in and year out. It's a worldwide commitment to prevent suicides, to bring attention to the problem of suicide, and figure out what society can do to help prevent suicide. We all know at least one or two or even more people who made that ultimate decision. World Suicide Prevention Day. 25 minutes after the hour. Today in history. Both items are Olympic related. The picture you're going to see is of Abibi Bikila of Ethiopia. And on this date, 58 years ago today, during the Rome Olympics, he won the marathon. He became the first sub-Saharan to ever win a gold medal. He ran all 26 miles barefoot. There you go, barefoot. He should get 2 gold medals for that. Yes, Abibi Bikila of Ethiopia winning the marathon 58 years ago today at the Summer Olympics in Rome without wearing shoes. Pretty darn impressive. In September 10th, 1972, 46 years ago today, the Soviet Union defeated the United States 51-50 in the Olympic men's basketball final, ending the Americans' 63-game winning streak. The Americans had never lost an Olympic basketball contest until then. They replayed the final 3 seconds 3 times. I think they were just going to keep playing it over and over again until the Soviets finally won. The U.S. players protested. They lost the protest. They refused their silver medals. They have never accepted their silver medals. They did not attend the award ceremony. One of the most controversial events in Olympic history happened on this date back in 1972. And finally, we got some birthdays for you on this September 10th. The King. Arnold Palmer, born in this state in 1929, passed away a couple of years ago at the age of 87. The most popular, if not the most well-known golfer of all time, Arnold Palmer. We miss Arnold, born in this state in 1929, one of the greatest of all times. Brought golf to the masses. We miss you, Arnold. Roger Maris was born in this state in 1934 in Hibbing, Minnesota, passed away at the age of 51. Back in 1985, of course, famous for breaking Babe Ruth's all-time home run record in a single season when he hit 61 home runs in 1961. And there's a lot of people who still think that's the legitimate record, because every time that record's been broken since then, there's been some sort of performance-enhancing drugs involved, one way or the other. The American League Most Valuable Player in 1960 and 1961, and is number 9, retired by the New York Yankees back in 1984. Roger Maris, born in the state of 1934. And happy birthday to the big unit, Randy Johnson, 55. Is he the greatest pitcher in Mariner history? I think he has a claim to that. Nothing against King Felix. Felix Hernandez has most of the Mariner career records, but it was Randy Johnson, I think, who gets the nod on that. 4,875 strikeouts, second most all-time. Most strikeouts by any left-handed pitcher in history. He won the Cy Young Award 5 times and was inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame in 2015 on his first effort. Happy 55th to the big unit. 28 minutes after the hour, going to take a break. Everybody is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion and Steve Hare's conversation with Senator Brad Hawkins between now and 8 o'clock. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, live this morning from Studio 9 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life Channel.
At Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. Featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza.
Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza.
You can buy fruit almost anywhere. From first off the tree to first in your hands, Lone Pine offers seasonal fruit from their farm and around the region every day. Make Lone Pine your latte stop with coffee from Blue Star Coffee Roasters and a fresh piece of fruit pie. Take a break with a friend and order a cold micro beer or a glass of Northwest wine. Bring the whole family and enjoy a Lone Pine lunch or a fresh shake in their park-like setting. Lone Pine Fruit and Espresso on Highway 97.
Eastern Washington. It's a great place to call home and a great time to own a home. It's the ideal place to lay down roots for your family and your future. Gisa Credit Union thinks Eastern Washington is a great place to own a home too. That's why we offer all kinds of home loans with personal attention every step of the way. We're your home. For home loans, we're Gisa Credit Union.
EDY Construction is proud to present this year's Chefs on Tour, Thursday, September 13th from 4 to 9. Experience the Sangster Motors and BNCW Home Tour like a VIP. Chefs on Tour is an exclusive tour within a tour. Tour from home to home, getting an exclusive preview of these beautiful homes while sampling mouth-watering food paired with wine, cider, and beer. Tickets are limited, so log on to buildingncw.org today.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, like I've said before, 75% of folks here in the good old USA call ourselves Christian. Well, that's fine, I guess. But what's really tragic is there are people who don't realize that the true test of loving and sacrificing for others, doing unto others as you would have them do unto you, etc., is first and foremost to be displayed at home to your families. It doesn't matter who outside of your family thinks you're a great person. If your spouse and your kids don't think so, or if your parents or your siblings think that you're a jerk, you're missing it. You know, if your Christianity and if your love for fellow man isn't first and foremost demonstrated to those who are closest to you, let's face it, it's meaningless. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Hi, Justin here, owner of Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere. Club Crow is your place for famous blues, brews, and barbecue. We are your one-stop bar and grill, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Looking for a fun night out? Join us at Club Crow Saturday nights. We have live bands to rock the night away. Club Crow is bringing comedy to Cashmere. Check out our Facebook page for upcoming dates. Live jam session first Sunday of every month. Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere, the coolest place in town.
This is State Representative Kerry Condata inviting you to watch our new and improved 12th District 2.0 show. Now featuring more information on federal, state, and local issues in a leaner, faster format. Guest hosts John Wise and Shiloh Shower bring it all home with yours truly, Kerry Condata. Why do we call it 2.0? Because just like me, it's the stronger, faster, and lighter version of today's politics. Also available on demand at ncwlife.com.
With 15,000 square feet to explore, you'll find something special at the Antique Mall at Cashmere. For the do-it-yourselfers and those with a keen eye for making something old, fresh, and new again, the Antique Mall at Cashmere is the place to come find your next project. From the coin enthusiasts to avid collectors, Antique Mall at Cashmere has treasures in every corner. Come find your treasure today. Antique Mall at Cashmere's friendly staff is here to help. Stop on by today.
You don't want to see this happen. It's the oil light on your car. Oil is the lube of life for your car's engine. At Alignment Pros and Express Lube, they pour the best oil your car deserves. Expect fast, friendly, superior service in a clean environment. They'll change your oil and perform a 21-point inspection while you enjoy the comfort of their amazing waiting room. Keep your car in top shape at Alignment Pros and Express Lube in East Wenatchee.
Welcome to NCW Live News. Again, I'm your news director, Steve Hare. Joining me in studio, we have our state senator from the 12th Legislative District, Brad Hawkins, who is joining us to help promote the big listening tour that you have planned coming up this month. And Brad, we've not had really a chance to talk to you to get a recap of the previous session, the 2018 session, which was really busy. And of course, I'd like to, especially with your activity, you've had a number of bills that were acted on and passed, and all in all, I would think that you'd think this is a fairly successful session.
Yeah, I do. In fact, the whole last couple of years, my term in the Senate, 2017 and 2018, were very positive. It's a little different outlook. I came in the majority as a majority member of the Senate, and then there was this special election, so it switched, and we, as Republicans, were in the minority for the second year. But it did force a close bipartisan relationship between both sides, and we ended up with, I think, good budgets for the state of Washington. I'm a little nervous about some of the spending levels, but we did meet the Supreme Court's needs as far as the McCleary decision goes, and so for K-12 education. So I feel good about that, and feel good about the work that I've been able to do with a variety of other stakeholders on wildfire issues and things. So I feel good about that.
I was going to say, being in the minority party really requires now that you work across the political aisle, much less, let's say, it was not required when you're in the majority, certainly. It's always preferred if you can work across the aisle, but this kind of forces the issue.
Yeah, it does, and I really, that's the space that I enjoy working in, because I think most of the issues that the state of Washington has to deal with, whether it's K-12 education, higher education, even healthcare and infrastructure issues and wildfire issues, those are really not Republican or Democrat issues. So I like to work in that space. Of course, the election season is right around the corner, and it'll be interesting to see, what occurs at the statewide level as far as elections. And my hope, anyway, is that we can stay somewhat, in that space where we have to work together, because when one party gains too many seats, for example, that could be the case this year if Governor Inslee in the Democratic House majority and the Senate is now in Democratic majority. Too much of the pendulum swinging one way is not always good for public policy.
I wanted to get your perspective on the environment in Olympia right now, especially given the turmoil that's going on with our federal government and Congress. Is there any trickle-down impact here to the state government from some of the rifts and the fractures that we're seeing within the two-party system in Congress right now?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. I mean, what I've observed is the federal system is much more polarized, much more partisan. There's certainly, it seems like, a lot more bickering and consternation and posturing and things like that at the federal level. But what we're seeing is that starting to make its way to state level politics, which concerns me, for the reasons I talked about. I like trying to represent our whole district. Our district is very diverse. We have a wide spectrum of various different thoughts and political philosophies. And my job, I believe, is to represent everybody in that space when I take my votes. But yeah, it seems like the politics and then the governance is sort of all beginning to intermix. And so it seemed like at one time I could look at it as, well, there's these campaigns that occur, and during these campaigns there's a lot of politics involved in that, but then we're able to look at the position as public service. And that's how I try to look at it. I try to put public service before politics. But too often now it seems like it's all sort of blurring together. At least that's what I observe at the federal level, and I certainly hope that we can hold the line and push back on that at the state level. Fortunately, at the state level, we have to balance our budget. We don't really have a choice of what they do at the federal level. So that requirement of needing to balance the budget and needing to meet the revenues with the expenditures, there's healthy debate as far as how we could go about doing that. But in the end of the day, we all need to make sure that we get that accomplished. And so I think that helps protect against some of what we're seeing at the federal level.
We're talking right now with State Senator Brad Hawkins regarding an upcoming listening session. And when you're talking about the legislative process, I'm sure you would agree that getting your constituents' input is critical.
Yes, it's always been critical to me. I think these positions exist for the benefit of the people who elect us. And so being a product of this area, my goal is to do what I said earlier, is to try to represent everybody here. And I pride myself in being a good listener. I think that's a really underrated skill set of elected officials. A lot of times, I think because of the campaign or because of media opportunities, people want to hear me talk about issues, and they want to, and sometimes what that leads to is politicians mistakenly thinking that their talking is their most important asset. And the reality is the most important skill set, I believe, it's what makes people good policymakers, is being a good listener. And so last year, I had this idea of, I'm going to give this listening tour a try, and we'll go out and try to meet up to all 4 counties, because the 12th Legislative District includes all of Chelan County, all of Douglas, part of Grant County, and about half of Okanagan County. So it's really large geographically, and I really wanted to make sure that we could get to, all the areas. And of course, I'm from the Wenatchee Valley here, but we spent a lot of time during the listening tour in stops in this area. But last year we gave that a try, and people responded really positively, and so much so that we added sort of an extra day on this one, so it just wasn't quite so busy driving around the whole district and making all the stops and making sure we had adequate time to really hear from people and hear their thoughts and concerns and ideas, because I bring staff with me from Olympia. We have extra sets of ears to do the listening, and sometimes it leads, things I hear during the listening tour leads to either legislative ideas or budget requests and things like that for the upcoming session.
Can you give us an example of, let's say, an item you might have heard at your listening sessions last year, and how that translated into actual legislation in Olympia?
Yeah, well, a couple different examples. So the first stop last year was up in Leavenworth, and the city of Leavenworth officials, Mayor Farivar and the city administrator Joel Walensky and the other members of the council brought this idea of, because of the Apple Maggot quarantine line being recently redesignated near their city and sort of intersecting their city, they were no longer able to transport their brush and yard clippings across that quarantine line, and they needed some other ways to dispose of their brush and yard waste so that they didn't have to transport it all the way over the mountain pass to western Washington to dispose of it. And so I worked with, this is the first time I really heard from them on that, and so we worked with staff. It took a while, then we worked with the Department of Ecology, and eventually secured the bipartisan co-sponsors that we needed to get a pilot project bill that would allow Leavenworth or cities that were in this unique situation on very specific occasions to be able to do some of this outdoor burning in their city limits, so that they could reduce wildfire risk and help meet their state or meet their city budget needs, things like that, do things more cost effectively. So that was an idea that came from a listening tour and eventually made its way all the way to the governor's desk and got signed. I also met with the Chelan Douglas Land Trust during that visit at a stop in Wenatchee, and they had told me that they were really struggling to secure funds to do some soil remediation work up at Saddle Rock, because the DNR transferred the land to the city of Wenatchee some years ago, and it had some additional cleanup work that was needed if there was ever any ground disturbing activity to take place. And if you've been up there recently, you know that the new Saddle Rock Gateway Trailhead is beautiful. There's many more visitors up there to access that Saddle Rock hike, but the trail is really rugged, and it just doesn't quite make sense. So the Land Trust had this idea. They really wanted to redesign the whole trail system. They have a whole master plan. They've actually raised the money to do that. They have the volunteer network to do that work, but they were just waiting on a state grant to get that soil remediation work done. And it was actually the first time I'd ever heard of that, and it was an issue they've been working on for a few years. And so with the help of Kurt Soper from the Land Trust and some of the members of their board and Mayor Frank Kuntz, we kind of unleashed a bit of an advocacy effort at the state level, and we secured the funding to do that. And now the city of Wenatchee is going to be able to get that work completed, and eventually the trail system will be much more user-friendly up there because of that. And so it's really important for me to get these ideas and to get them early enough. So for example, in the fall, prior to the session, so that we can do the research and the due diligence and develop those ideas either into legislation or into a budget request, and do the outreach with my colleagues in Olympia on both sides of the aisle to position ourselves as a district to be able to deliver on those ideas. And so, yeah, I'm thankful that those two things came through, but it's really generally some of the feedback isn't about any particular request or idea, but just hearing people's thoughts and ideas about state government and what could be done more efficiently. That helps me inform my decisions as a state lawmaker for this area. When I cast those votes, when you have to cast the votes, you know, I do reflect on the emails I get, the letters I get, the conversations I've had with locals. You know, that's most important to me.
So again, folks, if you're a constituent here in the 12th Legislative District, you'll really want to take advantage of some of these meetings that Senator Hawkins is planning this next month to let your voice be heard. Very important in this legislative process. Again, when does it start, and where are you going to hold these meetings? Obviously in all 3 counties.
Yeah, all 4 counties
Or 4
actually.
counties,
Yeah,
rather.
Chelan, Douglas, Grant, and Okanagan. It's gonna be great. September 11th through the 14th. We're going to start up in Leavenworth. September 11th they have the memorial service, the 9/11 memorial
That's right.
service up in Kashmir. So I'm going to be a part of that and speak at that and get to connect with people there. Then we're meeting at the Confluence Technology Center, and then the next day I think we're up in Chelan, and then Cooley City and Soap Lake, and then Waterville and Bridgeport, and eventually Twist.
We're talking whistle stops here, buddy.
All aboard. We're going to get there, and then we are capping off the listening tour, kind of like we did last year. We did a community hike up at Saddle Rock.
Governor joined you for that.
Well, yeah, we did invite him for that. We had a really good turnout for that Saddle Rock hike, so I thought, let's do something similar. And so on September 14th, everyone's invited at 10 a.m. We're going to have a community hike up in the Winthrop area, up the Patterson Mountain Trail, which is just down from Sun Mountain Lodge, overlooking Patterson Lake. And if anybody wants to see sweeping and just really breathtaking views of the Methow Valley, they should come up and do this hike with us. It's beautiful. Once you get up there at the top of Patterson Mountain, you see 360-degree views of the Methow Valley, and it's really, fall weather is really beautiful. So we celebrate our outdoor recreation in the 12th District. That's one of the things that we're known for. So I thought, it'd be fun to have another hike to cap the listening tour, and then really, it's fun to connect with people in a unique and different way, along the hiking trail too.
In fact, we will be posting this interview to our website and provide you also with all of the dates, times, and places that these listening sessions will be held. I'm sure that like last year, end of the wildfire season, smoke fills the air, and I'm sure that is going to be a prime topic at some of these listening sessions.
Yeah, it is a topic, and it's something that the state, fortunately, is being much more proactive with when it comes to reducing our risk of catastrophic wildfire. We kind of have two different issues when we look at the issue of wildfire in the state. Is one, how do we fund the firefighting and the suppression, and how do we deal with the unexpected cost of some of the wildfire seasons, if you will. But then the issue of how can we be more proactive over a long-term effort to do the strategic thinning, do the prescribed burning, and the things we need to do to harvest and maybe generate some revenue from the lands that we own, but also reduce our risk over time so that we're being much more proactive on the front end and not paying for things so much on the back end when they're so costly. So right now we kind of have to do things on 2 fronts. We have to work closely too with our federal stakeholders like the U.S. Forest Service and others, because we're not in this alone.
Jurisdiction,
Yeah. Fire doesn't care where who owns the property; it just burns. So we need to work closely with our federal partners too. And fortunately, over the recent years, largely because of the devastating wildfires and some of the good work that we've done locally, the ERA Omega Fires Group and others, but there's been a lot more awareness of the issue, and I think it is becoming much more of a statewide focus, which is important.
Well, the fact that so far during this wildfire season, it's been very relatively few homes that have been lost. So obviously people are getting the word and starting to show some actual work and making their homes a little more defensible.
Yeah, I think there's a role that everybody can play, and that's a really important point. The homeowners can play a role, the state can play a role, the federal government can play a role, other nonprofit groups have been working closely with the Nature Conservancy, the Wenatchee-based Wildfire Project, and others. I think, we all realize that there's something each of us can do, and we're really, we're all in this together. Unfortunately, you're right, there haven't been structures lost this particular season, but sometimes from a policymaker perspective, we try to quantify the costs of wildfire, and there are some costs that we just can't quantify. When we talk about displacing families and people losing homes and the impact of their quality of life, and canceling sports events and outdoor activities for kids, and of course, tragically, the loss of wildland firefighters. Those are things we can't quantify. So it's really an important issue, and hopefully, as a state, we can continue to be proactive and aggressive to reduce our risk of wildfire, in future years and in the long term. And really, what's interesting is it's no longer becoming a fire season as we all know it. It's not just the summer, just isolated to eastern Washington. It's impacting some areas in western Washington. The fires are starting much earlier and getting put out much later. And my hope really is, when it comes to fire suppression, we can get to a point as a state where we're actually putting out the fires soon after they start, rather than just managing them once they start burning. And so if we can get to that point and then do the really long-term proactive effort for forest health, I think eventually, over multiple years, we'll pull ourselves out of the situation. It's not a situation we got into, overnight. It was many years of neglect that I think put us in this situation. So it's going to take us some years to get out, but we can do that.
Senator Brad Hawkins joining us on NCW Life. Looks like we're going to have a new dynamic in the House. Kerry Condata retiring, and we have two candidates that are seeking that seat, Independent Ann Diamond and Republican candidate Chelan County Commissioner Keith Gaynor. Endorsement?
Well, I haven't endorsed anybody, but I did vote for Keith Gaynor. I have a lot of respect for him and worked with him for many, many years as a Chelan County Commissioner. But I've met with Dr. Diamond too. She's visited Olympia multiple times, and she's a real high-quality person and a good thinker. And I think it's important, to have a civilized campaign and a good debate on the issues. And I believe I could work well with either one of them.
Good. So. Well, we're about out of time here. We want to give you the last word, certainly. Is there anything that you'd like to mention before we leave?
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to serve as a state senator. I pride myself in being accessible to the people and being a good listener, and hopefully with the listening tour, people will take advantage of that. But if they can't make it to a listening tour, they're welcome to contact my office anytime. They're welcome to come to Olympia in the middle of winter if they want to experience the Capitol, or just contact us by email or letter. We really move heaven and earth whenever a constituent visits or contacts us. We do get a lot of correspondence throughout the year, in particular during the legislative session, but we have a rigorous process where we sift and separate and really make sure that we're hearing from the people who I'm supposed to be representing. So that's really important to me, and I encourage everybody to reach out to us anytime, either here in the district or in Olympia, if they have issues to share.
Very good. Well, if there's one thing that I would like to get out, that I would like to see continued and even increased in frequency, is your use of remote testimony, especially during the winter months when it's so difficult to drive over the passes to attend a public hearing, and to have that capability with the new high tech that we have to be able to testify remotely would be a great benefit for your constituents as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in our area.
Absolutely, and I think that sentiment would be shared and echoed by all of the members of the Republican caucus, and including some of the members of the Democratic caucus who have represent the Spokane area. And we have utilized that technology in the state Senate. I think we could do more, and I think that's really important to expand those opportunities so that people in eastern Washington have an equal access to having their voices be heard as the people who live in the Puget Sound area. I don't want face-to-face testimony to necessarily skew people's opinions just because people couldn't travel over 2 mountain passes in the middle of winter to dedicate a day or two to testify for 5 to 7 minutes. So yeah, I would really like to see that, and we're moving in that direction slowly, but we're getting there.
Good deal. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you stopping by, and good luck with the listening tour next month, and also good luck next session in
Thank
Olympia.
you, Steve.
Thank you very much. Senator Brad Hawkins
you.
joining us here on NCW Live. Thanks for joining us.
What's your Automocha emergency?
It's a Frappuccino mocha with whip.
The espresso shakes are my most favorite because I can get any flavor. Peanut butter chocolate Frappuccino.
Definitely the espresso shakes. My favorite is the mocha Frappitas.
A peach Red Bull.
Tacos Chava has something new. Customers at Tacos Chava say it's the best Mexican food around. Nachos, enchiladas, tortas, ensaladas. And introducing camarones in many styles. You'll love the fresh salsa bar with so much selection. Are you ready for Tacos Chava? Find them at 2 great locations, the Wenatchee Valley Mall and Eniac. Tacos Chava, tan delicioso.
When it comes to finding a memory care community, you want the very best. You want to know that your loved one is safe and receiving compassionate care in a loving environment. Fieldstone Memory Care is an innovative assisted living community designed for those with Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's disease. You'll find a community specifically designed to enrich residents' lives. The Fieldstone team is here to help you navigate the important decisions you face when a loved one has dementia or Alzheimer's. Welcome home to Fieldstone.
Hey everyone, Fletcher and Amy Ellington here from Live It Up. In the investment world, ROI stands for Return on Investment. Well, how does better health, better wealth, and better relationships sound for ROI? Join us every week right here on NCW Life and learn how to invest in the most important asset, you.
We're going to answer your questions and provide some weekly inspiration so you can create a life that you love. Join us on Live It Up.
And we're back live here from Studio 6 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life channel. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I'm Dan Kuntz. We have a couple of minutes. Want to take a look at your forecast one more time as summer begins to slip away. Lots of sunshine today. I have about 75, wind out of the west, about 6 to 16 miles an hour. There is a cold front that's passing through, so that 75 degrees is a couple of degrees cooler than it was yesterday. There is a slight chance of some scattered showers in the Cascade Crest, but that rain shadow is going to keep us pretty dry today. Partly cloudy tonight, 54 for the overnight low. Again, west wind about 7 to 13 miles an hour. Not a lot of wind associated with this cold front. Now Tuesday, the cold weather pattern is going to really persist right through the rest of the week. Could even see an afternoon thunderstorm, but not a big chance, about a 20% chance as you see there on your screen of an afternoon thunderstorm. High tomorrow of about 72 degrees. Slight chance of light rain Tuesday night. Certainly cloudy. 51 for the overnight low. Wednesday, kind of a mixed bag. Get a little bit of everything. Very unsettled conditions. We could see a raindrop or two Wednesday. Could even see a passing thunderstorm. All of it in the afternoon. Outside of that, partly sunny and a high of 72. About a 30% chance of some kind of precipitation coming down Wednesday into Wednesday night. Mostly cloudy Wednesday night with an overnight low of 49. We could use a pretty good dose of rain. There really isn't any in the forecast. Thursday, quite a bit of sunshine, high of about 72, 73 Friday. Saturday, 76, Sunday, 78. Most of these temperatures until we get to the weekend are slightly below normal. And as I mentioned before, there is a cold front coming through, and it's already, the clouds have already cleared out quite a bit. There was a lot more clouds out in the hovering over the Wenatchee Valley about an hour ago than there is now. So quite a bit of sunshine, nice light wind, high about 75, no real complaints at all. Quick reminder, this is a big traffic thing. Blewett Pass is closed, and it will be closed until 9 a.m. on Friday. They're doing some work, as you well know by now. So Blewett Pass is completely closed in both directions from milepost 157 to milepost 169. They're cleaning out culverts and doing some construction stuff they can only do when there's absolutely zero traffic at all. So you can't drive over Blewett Pass all of this week until approximately 9 a.m. on Friday morning. If that changes, of course, and the Department of Transportation say, hey, we're ahead of schedule or behind schedule, we'll be sure to let you know, all right? Have yourself a great Monday. Be sure to join us tomorrow. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.